This is a car with a beautiful, pristine factory paint job from 2004, I might add. And this is my handful of rocks. Now, wouldn't it be a shame if you were driving down the road and these just smacked right in to that car and chipped out all of that beautiful paint? Good thing there is something you can do about that. I'm Alanis King, and this is Crash Course, where we talk about all kinds of automotive topics and technology. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into paint protection film and find out once and for all what are the benefits of a product you literally cannot see. Before we get to the benefits of paint protection film, let's talk about what it is. For as long as cars have existed, people have been looking for ways to protect them. And it makes a lot of sense. When I get a new iPhone, this thing costs a lot of money. And what is the first thing I do? I get a case because I'm gonna drop it and crack it. The same thing goes for rock chips and other things with your car. PPF got its start, like a lot of other inventions, in the military. And no, they were not wrapping the army jeeps or things like that. They actually used it to protect helicopter blades. This was in the 1950s during the Vietnam War, and those blades were getting eaten up on takeoff and landing. So people started using thermoplastic urethane on the fronts of the blades. Thermoplastic urethane basically means the material is plastic when heated and hardens when cooled. The idea quickly made it onto the car scene and has been through a ton of iterations and innovations since. You might remember those black plastic hood bras you saw in the late 20th century, but a lot of people who liked their cars argued that those were really ugly, and they also caused sometimes more damage than they protected from. The idea with the damage thing was that debris and stuff would get under those hood bras, causing scratches to the paint underneath them. It's the same concept when you see people complain about those modern Dodge splitter guards. You see the yellow little guards on the front of the car, and people are like, take those off! You're getting dust under those, and then it's scratching the paint underneath. Ugh! But there weren't just concerns about the early colored PPF. There were also concerns about early versions of clear stuff too. People on forums worried about yellowing, peeling, stains around the edges, and the fact that eventually they would have to get that PPF redone. In my opinion, that is literally just part of owning something. My iPhone case, I'm gonna drop it a certain amount of times, and after that certain amount of times, I'm gonna need a case. Hopefully, that case lasts as long as I need the phone for. Fast forward to 1997, and one of the biggest players in the automotive PPF game and our YouTube partner, XPEL, was founded. They started out in headlight protection film, selling these really thick 20 mil DIY kits. And then they expanded into full car protection. In 2011, they launched the XPEL Ultimate Self-Healing PPF, and it can literally heal surface scratches by just applying heat. These days, PPF technology is really good, and I know because it is all over our 2004 Mazdaspeed Miata right there. I've spent the last 5 or 6 months learning all kinds of stuff about PPF, what it is, how it's installed, how it's tested, and I thought it would be so cool to share that with y'all because I'm spending my free time telling friends and family about this. Why not also tell y'all? Back in July, we spent the day at XPEL in San Antonio, and we learned all about their quality control stations, testing, ceramic coating, PPF, window tinting, and we even got to take a class on how to install PPF. And we learned that this was not what we thought. We originally thought you could get PPF and just put it on your car at home and see how well you could do. And we quickly learned that this is a technician level skill, and a really good technician at that. This stuff is hard to install because it's clear and you can have work marks and you can miss the edges and all kinds of stuff. So if you tried to install it at home, you might be able to do it, but you also might end up wasting a lot of material and have the car not look very pretty. That's due to both technician skill and environment. Before this car could even enter the shop where it was going to get its PPF, it had to be extensively cleaned. You got to get the grease off, the dust off. You have to clay bar the paint to make sure everything is as clean as possible. And some cars go through paint correction as well. This car has to be super clean before it goes in the shop because of the fact that it's getting PPF'd and the cars around it are getting PPF'd. And that is clear. You don't want anything under that coat. When we took our PPF installation class, we learned that PPF comes on a big roll, way bigger than what I'm holding right now, but this is our little sample sheet. There are two forms of PPF jobs. You can have a custom job or a kit job. XPEL has more than 80,000 patented patterns for cars, and you can just put it on a plotter, it cuts out the kit, and then you apply that to the car. A custom job is wild because all of the sheets on the car, like on our car, start square, and you form them to the car and hand cut them to all of the edges. It's stunning to watch, honestly. After the film is cut out, the tech hangs it up on a board, removes the backing, then thoroughly sprays it down with soapy water. They then either walk backward or hold the film on itself to avoid contamination before laying it initially on the car. From there, they line up their edges, apply alcohol to tack it down, then start squeegeeing the water out. That sounds pretty easy, right? It's not at all. When we did our PPF class, people had all kinds of issues in their jobs. They had bubbles and misalignments and work marks where they had to work that squeegee and they worked it too hard and made a mess. They had dust under their PPF, all kinds of stuff when they didn't clean it all the way. Those are all things that make an imperfect PPF job, and we quickly learned that it takes a lot of skill to make a perfect one. Luckily, my team, which was my husband and I, won the PPF contest. We had the least amount of mistakes, and I will admit that I had more mistakes on my half than he had on his. But we were installing a Model 3 hood kit, which is as easy as it can get. Back in the day, people complained about UV damage on their PPF. If they had it out in the sun, it would yellow or it would peel and stuff like that. And that has changed. The film that we have on our car is called XPEL's Ultimate Plus, and it has a 10-year warranty. It's guaranteed to not crack, peel, yellow, or blister, and if we have issues, they will fix it. Obviously, if you have your car inside and keep it really clean, stuff will last longer because that's just how products work. XPEL has all kinds of laboratory tools to test for stuff like that. They have a machine in their laboratory that goes through 10 years worth of extreme weather changes in 1 year. So they put the PPF in there, start that clock, and a year later they can see how that piece of PPF will have fared over 10 years. They also have this machine called the gravelometer, where you take a body panel, you put it inside of this metal box, and you shoot gravel at it at whatever speed you want. We had a body panel without PPF on it, and we put it in, set rocks to shoot at it at 65 miles an hour, took it out, and went, oh, that's a lot of damage. Then we put in a piece of PPF body material, and we shot rocks at it at 65 miles an hour. Took it out. There are a couple dents in the PPF. That's what the PPF is there for. But when we peeled off the PPF, that body panel was fine. And it made me think about all of the cars that I have had and that people I know have owned that have just gone out into the elements, gotten rock chips, and they will be forever changed. They will not be new unless you get a new body panel or a really, really good paint job. And I started feeling a little bit of regret, I'm not gonna lie. When we walked out of the laboratory, there was a white Bentley Continental in the hallway, and the people we were with said, here's a wire brush, scratch the Bentley. And I was like, what? That's a $300,000 car. And they said, yeah, it has PPF all over it. So just go over there, make some light surface scratches, and look at them, see how you messed up the car. And then they brought me a heat gun so I could heat it up. And I very, very, very hesitantly scratched this car. I did not want to do this. Scratched it and I was like, oh, okay, ouch. Brought the heat gun over, heated it up, and the scratches were gone. It was terrifying, but I'm glad I did it. But let's talk about what PPF is versus is not. PPF is a new top layer on your car. It will hide light swirl marks, and it will be a protective layer for your paint. But it is not an end-all, be-all fix for already bad paint. If you have paint issues, clear coat issues, stuff that needs to be corrected, PPF will not just fix that for you. That's why often if you get PPF on an older car, you will have a paint correction round before the PPF goes on. The best time to get PPF is on a new car. The second best time to get PPF is while your paint is still good. And the third best time to get PPF is after you fix everything. PPF is not cheap, and it is not an Iron Man suit for your car. The labor and materials on that job will cost you, and if you get into a wreck, you are still getting into a wreck, PPF and all. If you're interested in PPF and you don't want to pay the amount for a full car, there are also high hit areas. You can just cover certain parts of the car, like the front of it and the side mirrors, and that'll protect you from most damage without costing a full job. While PPF seems like, and kind of is, magic, it also has parameters and care guidelines. PPF is porous. It is not like ceramic coating, which is hydrophobic. That car also has ceramic coating on it, and it's really cool. So if you have PPF, you can't just go, I paid to protect my car, I'm never gonna wash it, because those pores, if you cake dirt on them, will absorb that dirt over a long period of time and taint the color of the PPF. The general care guidelines from XPEL on PPF is that you have to care for it like you would a normal car. You need to wash it. You need to not let stuff cake on it, because if you do, those pores can suck that in. Now, if you get ceramic coating, you do have the hydrophobic properties, but please, wash your car. Another thing to watch out for is soaps with dark or very, very stark dyes in them. If you have light blonde hair, which I used to and don't anymore, you might have purple shampoo at home, and that works great on your hair. But if you use purple soap on your PPF, you risk having a little purple outline around it. So XPEL sent us home with a bunch of really cool cleaning products that we're gonna use to clean this car. I have learned so much through getting our car PPF'd and ceramic coated. We have a fully custom job on our 2004 Mazdaspeed Miata, which meant our installer, Mark, who's at XPEL Austin, took sheets like this, except way bigger, and fully custom fit them to the car. So, put rectangles on there, formed it to the curves of the car, and took relief cuts and seam cuts throughout it and hid them. And while I was asking Mark all kinds of questions about what he was doing, because it was honestly so fascinating to watch, he told me the hardest part of his job is if he does a great job, which he always does, people cannot see the work he did. His goal is to hide the fact that this is on the car. So as a tribute to him, I figured I would take you through and show you all of the work he did. The front bumper of a Mazdaspeed is really hard to PPF because there's a lot of curvature and there are a lot of just layers here that you have to go around. So you have to make relief cuts and seams. And what you do is you hide those seams in the shadows. So you'll see a seam right in here, perfectly hand cut, but it's away from where you would typically look. And then if we look over here, you can see a seam in the shadow and a seam around this rim. So it's perfectly hidden to where you're not gonna notice it unless I specifically tell you it's there. There are absolutely zero seams on this door piece right here because of the fact that Mark cut a hole for this mirror in the PPF and then went through the mirror, because he doesn't believe in taking much stuff off, went through the mirror and tacked it down afterward like that. The mirror itself is fascinating to look at because you can see the seams follow the lines of the mirror and he hand cut them. Oh, it's so pretty, I love it. Another absolutely stunning piece of this car is this rear spoiler, because this was not taken off. The PPF job was done with this on the car, and this is one piece of material right here. Mark curved it around, and the only bit of relief it gets is right here on this corner, which is completely hidden because if you're looking at the spoiler, you're not gonna look at it from this way. Oh, it's so good! And it's also so smooth with the ceramic coating on it. Oh, it feels like satin. Our Mazdaspeed Miata is stunning, and it's also sentimental. It was my husband's grandfather's car, and it has been in the family since new. It has been meticulously cared for. And even after 20 years, that thing looks brand new. It is so cool to think that now we get to keep it looking brand new for literally ever, thanks to this PPF job. So thank you to XPEL for doing the job and also sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. And thank all of you for being here and learning all about this. I thought it was really cool to get to learn all about protecting your car and how it's done and the artwork behind it. And I hope y'all enjoyed too. I really appreciate you being here, and if you want to subscribe to the channel or watch more videos, please feel free to. If you want to leave a comment, I will respond to you. And if not, that's all right. We'll see you next time.